previous chapters, we have answered the questions why do nations trade, what kind of products they should trade, and after they decide to trade, what kind of international contracts they should write and how they write the international contract. Okay, and in these lessons we will answer the question, what should a nation's trade policy be? So when they decide to trade, what policy they should use for their country. So for example, US faced with the competition with Japan and South Korea about automobile industry, and what the US do to protect their domestic industries. So they use a tariff or an import quota to protect its automobile industry against Japan and South Korea. So the question here is who will be benefit and who will be lose from that import quota, and will the benefits outweigh the cost? So to answer those questions, we will learn about trade policies in these lessons. And for more information, you can read chapter 9 in the textbook International Economics Theory and Policy. And after these lessons, you are supposed to know how to evaluate the cost and the benefits of tariffs, their welfare effects, and winners and losers of tariffs policies. And the second expectation is you need to discuss what export subsidies and agriculture subsidies are, and recognize the effect of voluntary export restraints VERS on both importing and exporting countries, and describe how the welfare effects of these VRPS compare with tariff and quota policies. So here we will go through four main policies. The first one is tariff, the second one is export subsidies, or the third one is the VERS and the quota policies. So to achieve those learning expectations, we will go through three main contents. The first one is basis tariff analysis, and the second one is the costs and benefits of a tariff, and the final one is other instruments of trade policy. And let's go to the first one, basis tariff analysis. So what is tariff? Tariff is a tax levied when a good is imported. So it's the amount of money they have to pay when they import a product into the country. And tariff will be tariff is separated, is divided into two different kind of tariff. The first one is specific tariff, and the second one is ad valorem tariff. And what is the difference between them? A specific tariff is a fixed charge for each unit of goods imported. For example, they will charge $3 per barrel of oil. So it's a fixed number. When they give out a fixed number like this, we call it specific tariff. The second type is ad valorem tariff, that is a tax that are levied as a fraction or proportion of the value of the imported goods. For example, they will charge 20% tariff on imported trucks. So 20%, maybe this imported truck value is $100, then 25% of this value, the value of imported goods. So it will be how many? $20, right? So when they give a proportion or a fraction, we call it ad valorem tariff. And the main the main effect of the tariff is to raise the cost of shipping goods to a country. The purpose of tariff is they have achieved two purposes. The first one is provide revenue for. Do you think who tariff provide revenue for? They give their revenue to the government, right? And the second one is they try to protect the particular domestic sectors. For example, I gave you the earlier example about US. So they try to use tariff to protect their automobile sector in their country. Or another example is in early 19th century, UK used tariff to protect its agriculture from import competition. Or in the late 19th century, Germany and US protected their new industrial sectors by imposing tariff on imports of manufactured products. So remember, tariff have two main purposes. The first one is provide revenue for the governments, and it's a kind of government income. And the second purpose is to protect a particular domestic sectors. Okay. However, in the modern time, the importance of tariff has declined because the modern government usually prefer using the non-tariff barriers. For example, the import quotas and the export restraints. So what is import quotas? What is import quotas? They limited on the quantity of imports. So for example, okay, you can import, but it can't be larger than amount of quantity. For example, 2,000 unit. For example, so the maximum quantity of imports they can reach is 2,000. So they put the limitation for the import quantity. The second one is export restraints. It means they put the limitation on the quantity of exports. So who will put this? Who will put their export restraint? Is it the importer or exporter? It's exporter, right? Because all the exporter can control the export number, export restraints. But why exporter want to do that? Why exporters should do that? Because the more they export, the more benefit they will get, right? So why they have to limit the export quantity? So normally, the export restraints will be imposed by the exporting country, but based on the importing country request. So it's like the agreement between two countries. Okay, so the exporter will decide this one, will release the export restraints, but based on the importer request. Okay. Oh, nonetheless, understanding of the effects of tariff remains vital for understanding other trade policies. So to understand other trade policies is also important to understand the effects of the tariff first. So that's why we will see uh, what are the effects of a tariff for both importer and exporter country. So we spoke that we only consider two countries, home and foreign. So to be consistent with what we already learned before in the previous chapters, so we consider home and foreign countries, and both countries consumes and produce wheat, which can be costlessly transported between the countries. And in home they use home, I will just say $. This is the currency in home country, and in foreign country the currency is $. And the price of wheat in home country is DW, and the price of wheat in foreign country is PW stars. So in the absence of trade, we assume that the price of wheat in the home country is larger than the price of wheat in the foreign country. Okay, and in the absence of trade, the price of wheat in the foreign country will increase, and the price of wheat in home country will decrease until they equal to each other, until the price is equal between them. Because if the price in home is larger than price in foreign country, the products will from foreign country will be transferred, will be delivered from foreign to home country. But here we are consider the absence of trade. So without trading, the price will be balanced until they equal to each other. Okay. So how we can determine the word price and the quantity traded between them if they decide to trade with each other. To determine them, we need to define two curves. The first one is the home import demand curve, and the second one is the foreign export supply curve. We need to know supply and demand, right? And here the supply is from the foreign and the demand is from the home country. So we can determine that the home import demand is equal to the home demand minus the home supply, right? For example, the home demand is 100,000. However, they only can supply, let's me use the unit is kilogram. So the home demand is 100,000 kilogram, but they only can supply 70,000 kilogram. So the home import demand will be 30,000, right? 30,000 kilogram. The same for foreign. So foreign export supply will be equal to foreign supply minus the foreign demand. So for example, the foreign demand is 50,000 and the foreign supply is 70,000. 10,000 kilogram. So the foreign export supply will be 20,000 kilogram. So it's how we determine their home import demand and foreign export supply. And since foreign will have excess supply and home will have excess the demand, so wheat will be imported from it will be wheat will be transferred, will be delivered from foreign to home country. Okay, so let's see how we can derive the home import demand curve. So we can see here is the supply curve and demand curve. Here is supply curve and here is the demand curve of home country. As the red line is supply curve and the blue line is the demand curve. So we can see at the price P1 at the price P1 the quantity they supply, this one is in home country. Okay, the quantity they supply is S1 and the demand is SD1. Okay, so in this case what is the import demand? It will equal to D1 minus S1. Okay, that is the import demand from home country. If they increase the price from P1 to P2, so we know that when we increase the price, the supply will increase because they can get more benefit, so more factory will produce that products because they can get more benefit. So when the price increase, the supply will increase, however the demand will decrease. Please remember this one for me. This one is just a basics knowledge. When P increase, supply will increase and the demand will decrease. So that's why when the price increase from P1 to P2, the supply increase from S1 to S2 and the demand decrease from D1 to D2. So here the demand, the imported demand will decrease to D2 minus S2. Okay, and as one point that PA is when the supply will match with the demand. Here the intersection of supply curve and demand curve, and when the price is at PA, the home country don't need to import anymore. The imported demand will equal to 0 because the supply is matching with the demand. They don't like curve products anymore. So we can see that if the price increase from P1 to P2, the imported demand will decrease from D2 minus S2 to D1 minus it should be converted way. So if the price increase from P1 to P2, the imported demand will decrease from D1 minus S1 to D2 minus S2. Okay, so we can see when the price increase, the imported demand will will decrease. So we can draw the curve for imported demand from home, like is the the green curve here. Okay, and A is the point that they sell the price at PA, and is when the imported demand is equal to 0. The second curve we need to derive is, do you still remember? To determine the world price and the traded quantity, we need to derive two curves. The first one is home import demand curve, and the second one is foreign export demand curve. Okay, so that is the first curve we already derived. So let's to see how to derive the foreign export supply curve. So the same, we will have the supply and the demand curve of foreign countries. So the same logic, that when price increase, the supply will increase and the demand will decrease. So we can see at the price P2, the demand curve is the blue curve here. So at the price P2, the demand quantity is D2 star. Okay, and the supply quantity is S2 star. So we can see they will have excess supply. The supply is larger than the demand. With the quantity is S2 star minus D2 star. So the quantity they can export is S2 star minus D2 star. So when the price decrease from P2 to P1, what is the demand in foreign country? So when the price decrease, their demand will increase. So increase from D2 star to D1 star. So when they sell at the price P1, the demand in foreign country is D1 star, and the supply is S1 stars. So here we can see if the price decrease, the supply will decrease and the demand will increase. So if the foreign country, they sell the product as the price P1, the excess quantity is equal to supply 1 stars minus D1 stars. Okay, so we can see when the price decrease, the supply, the exported supply, the export supply will decrease, right? Decrease from S2 star minus D2 star to S1 star minus D1 star. And if the P increase, the export supply will increase. So as the point PA star, at the price PA star, is when the supply and there's demand in foreign country match with each other. So the supply is equal to the demand, And here they don't have extra products, so they will not export anymore. So at the price PA star, the export quantity will equal to euro export. So the export quantity will equal to euro. So we can derive the foreign export supply curve like this in the red line axis. So we can see that when the price increase, the export quantity will increase as well. So based on the home import demand curve and foreign export supply curve, we can find the point where they trade and the price when they trade. We call it the word equilibrium. So earlier we construct the home import demand curve and foreign foreign export supply curve. So the intersection between the demand and the supply curve is the point that they trade the traded quantity and the price of the products in the world market. So the word equilibrium occurs when the home import demand equals to the foreign export supply. That is the intersection between excess and empty curve here. So it means the home demand minus the home supply will be equal to the foreign supply minus the foreign demand, right? So this one is the import demand, and this one is the foreign export supply. So from here we can just bring foreign demand, we just transform it. So we have home demand plus foreign demand will equal to home supply plus foreign supply. So we will have world equilibrium occurs when the world demand is equal to the world supply, and that is easy to understand. Okay. This point, the point 1 is the world equilibrium, and there they will trade with the quantity QW, and their traded price is PW. Okay, so from the point of view of someone shipping products, a tariff is just like a cost of transportation, because they increase the transportation cost, right? So they just consider it as a transportation cost. So we will see what tariff affect the foreign country and the home country. Okay. And here we assume that we have they will impose a specific tariff that is equal to T per unit of width. So the shippers are not willing to move the width from foreign to home country unless the price in home country exceeds the price in foreign country larger than T, larger or equal than T. If the price in home country is higher than the price in foreign country more than or equal to T, the shipper will move the width from home country to foreign country. If not, they are not willing to move. Okay. So if no wheat is being shipped, the price in home country will increase. PW will increase, and W star, the price of wheat in foreign country, will decrease until the price difference is equal to T. Okay, so in the case we don't consider our tariff T earlier, the price will in home country will increase and the price in foreign countries will decrease until they equal to each other. But here they change until the price difference between them is equal to T. So we can see in the graph here, first the price at the price PW is the world equilibrium when the import demand is equal to the export supply. Here and the price in the case that no wheat is being shipped, the world equilibrium price, the PW will in home market will increase to PT, and it will decrease in the foreign market to PT star until the gap between them, PT stars minus PT, is equal to T. Okay, and by that scale, when the gap between them, the gap between two price is equal to T, the traded quantity will decrease from QW to QT. You can see when the price in home market is PT, okay, when the price increase from PW to PT, what will happen? Their demand will decrease and the supply will increase, right? Here supply will increase and demand will decrease. So the gap, the imported demand, will decrease. Okay, and decrease to here. The same for the foreign market. When the price decrease from PW to PT star, what will happen? D will decrease because the price decrease, so demand will increase and the supply will decrease. To here, the supply will decrease from this point to this point. Sorry, this is the demand. Demand will increase from this point to this point, and the supply will decrease from this point to this point. Demand increase and supply decrease. So it means the export supply will decrease, right? So when demand import demand decrease, export supply also decrease, so it means the quantity traded will be decreased. So we can see it here, the traded quantity will decrease to QT, it's not QW anymore. So based on this figure, you can see that with appearance of tariff, the traded quantity will decrease. Okay, and here I already write more detail. You can read it again. So we can see that when we have a tariff T, the volume of wheat traded will decrease from QW to QT. Okay, so let's see that is the effects of a tariff for a country. But how about a small country? So let's see what is the effects of a tariff on a small country. So in a small country, the tariff imposed cannot lower the foreign price of the good it imports. Here we can see that when we have a tariff T, the price in the home market will increase and the price in the foreign market will decrease as long as the gap between them is T. However, for the small country, because the total quantity they import from that country is not large enough to affect their price, so it's like they have less power to bargain. That's why the tariff will put in the price in imported country, but not uh, the foreign country, the export country. So that's why the price of imported products in the home country will become here we can see the home country is a small country, and the price of imported products in home country will be W plus T. Okay, so the price will increase from PW to PW plus T. So the production of the imported good will increase from S1 to S2. Okay, so first at the price PW, the supply quantity will be S1 and the demand will be D1. So the imported quantity will be D1 minus S1. But when the price increase to PW plus T, the supply will decrease to S2 and the demand will decrease to D2. So the import quantity will equal to D2 minus supply S2. So we can see the difference how tariff affect the import quantity. So D1 minus S1 is the import quantity before tariff, and D2 minus S2 is equal to the import quantity after tariff. So we can see that the import quantity will decrease in the country imposing the tariff. Okay, the quantity decrease from this to this. So the principal objective of tariff is to protect the domestic producer from the low price that would result from import competition. So how much they can protect, we will learn it in the next video. Thank you.